kinds of wealth. We gave him children. مَالًا مَمْدُودًا وَبَنِينَ شُهُودًا وَمَهَّدْتُ لَهُ تَمْهِيدًا. We facilitated everything for him. Every single thing we gave to him. When he heard the ayat of the Quran, he actually recognized it to be true. But out of his arrogance, out of the fear that his leadership, his honor, his dignity may become superseded by the Prophet ﷺ, what did he do? In the ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about his reaction. When he heard the ayat of the Quran, ثُمَّ نَظَرَ ثُمَّ عَبَسَ وَبَسَرَ ثُمَّ أَدْبَرَ وَاسْتَكْبَرَ فَقَالَ إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا سِحْرٌ يُؤْثَرٌ. It's like, for example, somebody is contemplating something. So he thought about the ayat and it's like, okay, what response can we give in reply to what Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has brought? So he thought, okay, is this shi'r? No, it's not shi'r. Is this the words of a soothsayer? He's thinking, ثُمَّ عَبَسَ وَبَسَرَ. And finally he says, the best response that we can give is that this is sorcery. Just go with the fact that it's sorcery. Tell the people that this is sorcery and that they should stay away from it. And that's how they would scare the people. They would say, look, this is such a type of sorcery that if you hear it, it's so effective that it's going to split father and son. It's going to split husband and wife. This is what's happening in Makkah Mukarramah. And so that's why when people would come, for example, during the Hajj season, they would tell them this, they would scare them so much that these people would cover their ears with cotton. It comes about one Sahabi, I believe his name was Tufail ibn Amr ad-Dawsi, or Amr ibn Tufail ad-Dawsi. I'm forgetting which one was first. I think it was Tufail ibn Amr ad-Dawsi. He says that I am leader of the Daws tribe. So I came for Hajj and the Quraysh warned me. They said that, look, this is a man, he knows, he's very well versed in sorcery. He's gonna, cause something to happen. He's splitting families apart, this and that, all kinds of nonsense. He said, I became so scared that I started putting cotton in my ears. I plugged my ears. And he said, I was by the Kaaba and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was standing there and he was reciting Quran. He said, I said to myself, I'm a leader of a tribe. I know poetry, I know Arabic, I can decipher, I can evaluate and determine whether something is actually poetry or whether it's sorcery or whatnot. Let me decide for my own self. So he removed it and he started listening. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was reciting, according to the narration, Surah Al-Ikhlas. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. He said, as soon as I heard this, I recognized that this is not the kalam of any individual. This is not the speech of any one man. This is not sorcery. This is not poetry. This is not the saying of a soothsayer. No, this has to be kalam of Allah. And he accepted iman. That's the power that the kalam had. I mean, we are, mashallah, listening to the Quran in the evening in Taraweeh, right? And sometimes you can feel, right? Some of these surahs that you listen to sometimes, subhanallah, you feel in your heart this kind of itmi'nan. You sometimes are reciting the Quran and you feel that itmi'nan. Especially, I can say as an individual who's memorized the Quran and those who've memorized the Quran or who are memorizing the Quran, sometimes you recite the ayat of the Quran and you just become lost. Allahu Akbar, because there's some in Urdu we say like there's some maza in it, there's some sweetness in it, there's some halawa in it. And so these individuals, the basis for their denial of the Quran and of Islam was this very reason. Is they had kibr, they had arrogance. They were afraid that if I accept Islam, my leadership gone. My dignity, my pride, honor that I have, gone. So they rejected it. Same thing with shaitan. Well, what was the cause for shaitan to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It was arrogance. أَنَا خَيْرٌ مِّنْ خَلَقْتَنِي مِنْ نَارٍ وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِنْ طِينٍ. I'm better than him. Notice, both qualities are there. Him thinking that he's superior and having contempt for Adam. I'm better than him. You created me from fire. You created him from dirt. Subhanallah. So that is arrogance. And as I said, many diseases then branch out from kibr. Okay, hasad. Hasad branches out from kibr. Ghadab, anger. We'll talk about anger some other time, inshallah. That also stems from kibr. Ujub, vanity. We'll talk about that next. That all comes out from kibr. If a person feels that he has kibr, what's the remedy? What should a person do? Again, majority of these, because these are internal qualities. Okay, there are internal qualities. Sometimes you have to use internal methods and means to rectify it. And for a majority of these, it requires what we call muraqabah. Our mashayikh, they gave us the solution of muraqabah. In this case, what is the muraqabah? The muraqabah is you think to yourself, you reflect. Reflect on what? The grandeur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's majesty. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created everything. And then your own relationship, your own position in place of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who are you? You were created from nothing. You were created from something very despicable, right? Something that is dirty, filthy. It gets on your clothes, you want to wash it. That's where you came from. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, so we created him from nutfah, and now فَإِذَا هُوَ خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ. Now he wants to be an opponent of ours. Look at where he was created from. You're from nothing, and now you think you're something? Ponder over that fact. Subhanallah. I took this astronomy class once in college, and I remember, though I have to say that the professor himself, he was very pessimistic by nature. So then of course a person who has a very pessimistic worldview, he's going to have everything that he looks at, he's going to be pessimistic. And so I think it was the second day of class or third day of class, he said that, this is the doom and gloom class. The doom and gloom class. He said you'll figure out why. So as we're going on, every day you discuss something different. So, okay, one day you're talking about how the formation of the planets, the solar system, then other stars, and all kinds of interesting things. And so at every time he would mention, he would say, mankind could die this way. Mankind could die this way. This could have happened to the planets. This could have happened to the star. This can happen. This can happen. And the result of everything was you're gonna die. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. But it just goes to show how, subhanAllah, how weak insan is. Truly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, لَخَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ أَكْبَرُ مِنْ خَلْقِ النَّاسِ. The creation of the heavens and the earth is much larger, is much grand than what insan is. You're very tiny, He showed us this video on where, you start off with the human being, and then you zoom out and you look at the planet Earth, and then, you zoom out more and you look at Jupiter, and Jupiter is much more larger than Earth, and then you look at the sun, and then you look at other galaxies, and subhanAllah, you can't even see insan. He's nothing. He's nothing. You take biology, subhanAllah, in the process of cell division, right? In cell division, what's it called? Mitosis and meiosis, right? So if any one thing goes wrong in that cell division process, right? If anything goes wrong, there's some brothers here probably who are much more experts in the field of biology. If I'm saying anything wrong, let me know. If anything goes wrong in that process, the damages are oftentimes irreversible. Right or wrong? Subhanallah. That's how weak, that's where we're created from, subhanallah. And yet we have the audacity to think that we're better than someone, we're better than anything. No, subhanallah. We are servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's where we're at. We have nothing. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides to remove our eyesight, we're done. What are you going to do? Pay whoever you want. If Allah decides that your eyesight is not going to return, it's not going to return. If Allah takes your hearing away, give whoever you want, pay as much money as you want. If Allah has decided that your hearing is not going to come back, it's not going to come back. Subhanallah. That's how weak we are. So if a person reflects on this reality, insha'Allah, over time, and now if he does it consistently, what will happen is if he has any form of kibr in his heart, is going to be removed. And this is the remedy for many of these diseases. Same thing with ujub. Okay, the next one is ujub. Ujub is also a branch of kibr. But there's a little difference between ujub and kibr. In kibr, you not only think of yourself superior, but you had contempt of other individual. Ujub is where you don't feel contempt for another individual, but you think yourself better. Okay, so you don't think of another individual as low, but you think that, okay, what I did is my own doing. You feel this pride in the sense that, oh, you know what, I'm entitled to this. Though you don't look down on other individuals. That's ujub. Okay, so similar to kibr, minus the contempt, it's the attribution of excellence to oneself without looking down on others. A person thinks he's entitled to certain blessings and he doesn't feel that he has this idea and notion in his mind that these blessings are not going to be snatched away. So mashallah, somebody may be very good looking and he thinks, oh, he may have ujub of that, ghurur, that deception in his mind, in his heart. But subhanAllah, again, if Allah wants, anything can happen. Somebody thinks, I'm skilled at one thing. Well, if Allah wants, He can remove that skill. Allah is the one who instilled those abilities and skills within you. Again, if any time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would like to remove that, He can do so. So that's ujub. Now, if a person feels happy or some form of delight over some blessing, just that by itself is not ujub. Oftentimes iman, it creates happiness within a person's heart. As Allah mentioned in the Quran, يَسْتَبْشِرُونَ, right? When the ayat come down, a person feels happy and joy. That itself is not ujub. And sometimes even mentioning the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just to remember them and to recount them, is also not considered ujub. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. The ni'mah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you, you can count those, you can mention those. So there's nothing wrong with that. That by itself, there's nothing wrong. But when you start feeling that, this thing is mine, this quality I deserved, I did something for it, and it cannot be removed, that is when it becomes ujub. But if a person feels, okay, mashallah, Allah has given me ilm, I'm skilled in a specific field, that's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He attributes it to Allah and he recognizes that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala desires to remove it at any time, He can do so. It will no longer be considered ujub. If a person feels ujub, same remedy as kibr. Think to yourself, who are you? What are you? You're nothing. And what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Draw that comparison. That will inshallah slowly over time remove the effects of kibr and of ujub. Another disease that stems forth from takabbur is an hasad. Hasad is, I would say in today's day and age, is very problematic. Jealousy. And again, it does stem from takabbur, pride. You think yourself to be entitled to something. That's what causes jealousy. What is jealousy? Jealousy is when you see another brother, you see another individual having something that you don't have. Okay? You see another individual having something that you don't have and having the feeling that that person doesn't deserve it, I deserve it. That is called jealousy. Okay? You see someone having something, having the idea that that individual should not have it, he doesn't deserve it, I deserve it, I should have it. It could be in rank, it could be in anything worldly, whatever it may be. That will be considered hasad. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in narration, إِيَّاكُمْ وَالْحَسَدْ. Be aware, be cautious of hasad. فَإِنَّ الْحَسَدْ, because this jealousy, يَأْكُلُ الْحَسَنَاتِ كَمَا تَأْكُلُ النَّارُ الْحَطَبِ. It eats up all your good deeds just like fire eats up wood. Just like fire eats up wood. And my personal experience and from what I have seen in stories that I've heard, I find that hasad is one of those things that it usually happens more often among families than it does outside. Right? You're going to be jealous of an individual who you know. You're not going to be jealous of somebody who you don't know. So it's possible that between brothers, between relatives, that's where hasad arises more often, more so than in other situations. If I don't know an individual, how am I going to be jealous of him? Right? But somebody who I know usually, again, more often. It's possible that, you see somebody having a nice, very nice car, and you don't know who it belongs to, but you have that thought in your mind that, that car should have been mine, not his. But you don't know who he is. So sometimes it happens in those cases as well, but more often from what I've been told and what I've seen is that it happens more often in families. And it may seem like something small, hasad, but the thing is, it's one of those things that if it goes untamed and uncontrolled, it has really lasting damages to it, right? For example, this thing that happens nowadays of black magic. Yeah, majority of the time it's hasad. It's because you're jealous of someone and you're so jealous that you're going to use whatever means necessary to see that person in difficulty and in pain. Subhanallah. Allah protect. The same thing happened to the brothers of Adam, right? Habil and Qabil. Qabil was jealous of his brother, right? For those who don't know the story, what would happen is at every pregnancy that Hawa radiallahu anha would have, there would be a boy, a male child, and a female child. Okay, based on the narrations. And what was set at that time was that the male child of one pregnancy would marry the female child of the other pregnancy. Okay, now for us we may think of siblings, but they're the first creation on the earth, right? So they had different structure and different sharia being applied there. So Qabil wanted to marry the sister that was born in the same pregnancy that he was born in. So his own like sister, you can say, from that aspect. And he didn't want to marry Habil's, and that was set. It was set that Qabil would marry Habil's sister, and Habil would marry Qabil. He didn't want to. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, okay, look, if that's the case, each one of you bring forth a sacrifice. Whoever's sacrifice is accepted, that's what's going to happen. That's the person who's going to marry that specific sister. So Habil, who was a farmer, Habil, who was a shepherd, what he did was he brought the best of the best that he had to offer. So he had a very nice ram, he brought that forth, and Qabil, who was a farmer, he brought forth some produce. And he didn't bring the best, he brought whatever, the scraps that you find, that's what he ended up bringing. And of course, whenever there's sincerity, since that action that has sincerity and it is always acceptable, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted the sacrifice of Habil. Now Qabil became jealous. What did he say? He said, I will definitely kill you. And that's what he ended up doing. He ended up killing his own brother. And because this was the first time that murder ever took place, he didn't even know what to do with the dead body. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala recounts this right in Surah Al-Ma'idah. He didn't even know what to do with the dead body. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what he did was he sent a crow, and there was another crow that I believe they got into a little a fight. It killed the other crow, and then what it did was it started digging and it buried the other crow in the dirt. And so Qabil, instead of having regret for actually killing his brother, what regret does he have in his heart? He says, SubhanAllah, I don't even know how to bury my own brother. I don't even know how to hide the dead body. And that's what he was more regretful of. And so that's how he ended up disposing the body of his brother. And some Mufassirin even say that had his regret been over the fact that he killed his brother, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have accepted his tawbah. But that wasn't his regret. His regret was, I don't even know how to bury my own brother. I don't even know how to dispose of the body of my brother. That was his regret. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala left him as he was. But that's the extent to what hasad can lead to. Okay, that's the extent that hasad can lead a person to. Very destructive effects. Now, what is a remedy? Oftentimes these remedies are not sweet. Right? Sometimes you take medication, and medication more often than not is bitter. What's the remedy? Number one, if you feel hasad, jealousy towards another individual, number one, make dua. Make it a point to make dua for that individual. So, brother Fulan, I feel jealous of that individual. Even at that time, okay, if at that time your heart doesn't incline towards, force yourself to make, Ya Allah, give him khair, Ya Allah, give him the best in the dunya, Ya Allah, increase him in khair. Your heart may not want you to make dua for that individual, but still force yourself to make dua. Number one. Number two, whenever you see him, make it a point to go and meet him. Say salam to him. As I said, that hasad stems forth from kibr. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, what? Badi'u bis salami bari'un min al-kibr. The one who initiates the salam, he is free from kibr. Right? So one who initiates the salam, one who greets, who starts it, he is free from kibr. So if a person does this, inshallah, the effects of jealousy will be removed from his heart, inshallah. It may take time. And again, these things are not instantaneous. They take time. It's a process. You have to allow yourself, you have to be consistent, you have to allow yourself, give yourself enough time for these things to take effect. Now, in opposite of takabbur, ujub, hasad, you have then love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If a person, this I would say is one of the greatest motivating factors for an individual to do good deeds. There are others, for example, Allah, depending on different people's temperaments, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made Jannah and Jahannam as well. These are very good motivating factors. In order for a person to do good, or in order for a person to stay away from evil, Jannah and Jahannam are there. Right? It's just like, for example, a child. There are some children who you can, so to say, bribe them with things. You can say, hey, I'll give you candy if you do this. I'll give you this if you do this. I'll buy you, a toy car. And the kid will be he'll do it. He's like, okay, I'll do it, right? But then there are some kids who are not like that. They're smarter than that. They say, no, I don't want the candy. Who cares? Okay? They say, I don't care. You can give me whatever gift you want. I don't want it. So then for them, you have to say, okay. Pitai. If you don't do it, you're getting pitai. If you don't do it, I'm going to send you to the corner. I'm not encouraging beating your children, okay? Don't get the wrong idea. But it's some form of punishment, right? Some form of negative reinforcement. You say to the child, hey, you know what? I'm going to put you to the corner. You don't listen, you don't do this, you're going to get time out. You're going to get this or that, right? So similarly, there are some people who when they listen to the description of paradise, subhanAllah, it fills their heart with so much joy. They say, you know what? I'm going to do whatever I can to attain paradise. But then there are some people who say, no, alhamdulillah, I have paradise built here in this world. It seems similar to that, although it's not. As Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam described paradise, مَا لَا عَيْنٌ رَأَتْ وَلَا أُذُنٌ سَمِعَتْ وَلَا خَطَرَ عَلَى قَلْبِ بَشَرٍ كَمَا قَالَ عَلَيْهِ الصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ. The description of paradise is such, no eye has ever seen, no ear has ever heard of, no mind can ever imagine. Right? So there may be similarities, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the fruit of Jannah. We can say, well, dates and pomegranates and grapes, we have it in the dunya too. But it's just there for you to have, some uns, some sort of, you know what to expect. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, there's a type of fruit that looks like this and like this, you'll be like, I don't want that fruit. Sometimes you see those images of fruits. I don't know if you've ever seen those Asian fruits. I believe they grow in those islands, those dragon fruits or those star fruits, and they're very ajib looking fruits. A person just stays. They could taste very good, but I prefer staying away. I prefer just sticking to my apples and oranges. Okay, so that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions descriptions that you can recognize. You can recognize so that your heart feels more inclined towards it. Houses made of gold, houses made of silver, right? Garments of silk. Subhanallah. So that's the idea behind it. So those are sometimes motivation. Now if that doesn't motivate you, well then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the same time gives you description of Jahannam. Subhanallah. You listen to the description of Jahannam and the food of Jahannam. Ta'amul athim, right? The zaqum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this tree in Jahannam, that it grows in Jahannam. It's thorny. When a person eats it, it won't go down his throat. And he'll be suffocating on it. And so he'll ask for some form of drink so that that food goes down his throat. And what's the drink that's provided? Hamim. What is hamim? A boiling water. Or in some places, sadid, boiling pus. And so, in some narration, it comes that when he brings that bowl close to his mouth, the steam of it will be so hot that his face will melt. Allahu Akbar. So sometimes that motivates a person to stay away from haram. But there are those individuals who Jannah and Jahannam don't really affect them. Their reason for doing a'mal is because they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They love Allah and they love everything associated to Allah. It's just that love for Allah that motivates them to do whatever they do. And that's the greatest force sometimes. That's the greatest motivation, right? You love someone, you're ready to sacrifice everything for that individual. And you see, the greatest example you see is the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. Their love for Allah, their love for Rasul, they sacrificed. It didn't matter. They didn't think twice. They were ready to sacrifice. سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا. They were ready to sacrifice everything for the sake of Allah and His Rasul. Their love for Rasulullah was, the body of hadith literature that we have is a testament to their love of Rasulullah. Every word of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his action, his description, his shama'il, everything preserved. Subhanallah. In the Dawratul Hadith, the final year of Hadith, there's this book that is studied called Shama'il of Imam Tirmidhi, where Imam Tirmidhi collects all the narrations talking about the physical description of the Prophet ﷺ. If you read those descriptions, you have to come to the recognition that these people truly, the way they describe the Prophet ﷺ shows that these people were in love with the Prophet ﷺ. Everything is there. The way Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to smile, how his teeth used to, shine, the beard of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, till the extent that how many white hairs did Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam have in his beard? When Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would get upset, what would be the kayfiyah? How would his face look like? They mentioned that there would be this vein on his forehead that would start to bulge when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would get upset, and we would know that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is upset, and they would try to do whatever they could to appease the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam then. Subhanallah, you really have to love an individual to be able to preserve all that, to take notice of all those actions and then to teach it on. A hadith over a hadith, subhanAllah, book after book is preserved on every single action of the Prophet ﷺ. That's a testament to their love. And that was their motivation. That was their motivation to do good deeds. It was that love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So oftentimes, we understand, okay, you know what? I believe in Allah, Allah is one. I recognize that I have to have ikhlas, and I know these are the things that are demanded from me. But still a person is not able to motivate himself. So then what's the way, what's the manner? Is developing love for Allah and His Rasul. And the easiest manner to do that, the easiest manner is to sit with individuals who have love for Allah and His Rasul. Is to sit in gatherings like this. I mean, you yourself can ask yourself, for example, here, do you not feel closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? For those brothers who come to the masjid punctually, for those brothers who sit in programs, for those individuals who are doing i'tikaf, for the past 2-3 days, you may have noticed that your iman, your love for Allah has increased. Your love for Rasulullah has increased. Why? Because you're in that kind of environment. That environment stimulates, that environment makes it easy for you to do good deeds. Just like the opposite is true as well. You go to an environment where Allah is not remembered, where His Rasul is not remembered, no importance is given to those things, well then your heart slowly moves away from those things. You start to develop qualities of people who don't love Allah and His Rasul. But sit in gatherings like this, more and more, subhanAllah, you will find yourself to inculcate those same qualities of love for Allah and His Rasul. And another thing is, of course, dhikr. Something that you often remember, you remind yourself, that also helps build love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's why it's one of the reasons why in the Quran Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this idea of dhikr kathir. اذكروا الله ذكرا كثيرا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اذكروا الله ذكرا كثيرا والذاكرين الله كثيرا, or واذكر اسم ربك بكرة وأصيلا. Remember Allah. And remembering Allah is one of those things. You don't need a tasbih for it. You don't need to sit in the masjid for it. You could be at work and you could be thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You could be engaged in whatever you're doing. You could be, a computer engineer doing what you need to do, and you could be thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And anytime you feel that your mind is becoming diverted from Allah, bring it back. That itself is a mujahada. So that's the easiest way to develop. So easiest way to develop love for Allah is sit in gatherings of good. Sit in gatherings where Allah is mentioned. And if you're not in those gatherings, then remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala often. Likewise, when it comes to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, sit in gatherings, sit with people who love Allah and His Rasul. And if that's not possible, if that's not convenient, easy for you, then salat and salam on the Prophet ﷺ. Do as much durood as you can. Nabi ﷺ, in one narration, he mentions that the person closest to me on Yawm al-Qiyamah will be that individual who does who does most salat and salam on me, the most durood on me, who sends the most blessings on me. And of course, another great way to remove takabbur, ujub, riya, hasad, these things, is you're loving other Muslim brothers and doing ikram for them. So whenever you get an opportunity to do khidmah, you do khidmah, right? So for example, you have the opportunity every day here at iftar time, where the brothers are setting up for iftar, or they're cleaning up. Help in that. Or if it comes to having to clean the bathroom, that I guarantee, if you are cleaning the bathroom, you're not going to have kibbah. Okay, if you are engaged in cleaning the bathroom and the toilets, you're not going to have kibbah. Because that's something that's very, a person feels belittled, oh, subhanAllah, I have to clean the bathroom. Right? But if a person does that, he helps another individual. To such an extent, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that an individual, a person who helps his Muslim brother, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will assist him. A brother who hides the faults of his other brothers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hide his faults on Yawm al-Qiyamah. So building that love, and again, all that stems forth from where? From the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's where it stems forth from. I remember reading one place, Hassan radiallahu anhu, when he was young, he asked the Prophet ﷺ, he said, do you love Allah? I don't know if the narration is weak or not. I remember reading it. It's possible it could be weak. We have, mashallah, scholars of hadith here as well. But I remember reading it. He asked the Prophet ﷺ, do you love Allah? He said, yes, I love Allah. He said, do you love my mother Fatima, daughter of Nabi Sallallahu? He said, yes, I love Fatima. He said, do you love my father Ali? He said, yes, I love your father Ali as well. He said, do you love me, Ya Rasulullah? I said, yes, I love you as well. He said, Ya Rasulullah, how is it possible that you have all these various loves in your heart? You have one heart. How can you love so many different things? He said, actually, it all stems from my love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I love Allah, and so because of Allah's love, my love for Allah, I love all these various different things. So that's why our love for each other is based on that. And I'll finish with one hadith that will, inshallah, hopefully motivate us for this. قال الله تبارك وتعالى. So this is a hadith Qudsi. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam narrates. Hadith Qudsi is where Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentions that Allah said. Okay, Allah said. So قال الله تبارك وتعالى وجبت محبتي للمتحابين فيها والمتجالسين فيها والمتزاورين فيها والمتبادلين فيها. He said, my love is wajib for that individual, for those individuals who love each other, mutahabbin, they love each other for my sake. They sit with one another for my sake. They visit one another for my sake. And they spend on each other. And they spend on each other generously for my sake. My love is wajib on those individuals. So you want to get the love of Allah, right? We're trying to get love for Allah, and we want Allah to love us. SubhanAllah. We have the solution here. Do whatever you're doing for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Insha'Allah ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rectify our hearts. And just like we sit here in this gathering for the sake of Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be raised together in the company of the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum yawm al-qiyamah. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
Inshallah, everyone can focus on their individual adhkar and tilawah of Quran. And inshallah, a few minutes before iftar, we will call everyone to come downstairs for the iftar and to continue your du'as before iftar, inshallah. Jazakullahu Khairun. Bare minimum from this time is a very valuable time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Sabbih bihamdi rabbika qabla tulu'i shamsi wa qabla ghurubiha." That we should glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before the setting of the sun and before the rising of the sun. So this is the time before the sun is setting. Inshallah, the time after Asr is a window of dhikr. So 100 times, inshallah, we should all recite Subhanallahi walhamdulillahi wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim. In 100 times, salawat on Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and 100 times istighfar. Inshallah, this is a complete package where we will get dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, salawat on Rasul, and istighfar, all three done. And then continue with tilawat as well. Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, brothers. We have just about 10 minutes left before iftar. If all the brothers, as usual, can make their way downstairs to the iftar area and continue your ibadah there, inshallah. Jazakullahu Khairun.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
So اعتدلوا, please join the lines. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. لا أقسم بيوم القيامة ولا أقسم بالنفس اللوامة أيحسب الإنسان أن لن نجمع عظامه بلى قادرين على أن نسوي بنانه. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بل يريد الإنسان ليفجر أمامه يسأل أيان يوم القيامة فإذا برق البصر وخسف القمر وجمع الشمس والقمر يقول الإنسان يومئذ أين المفر. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. استغفر الله. Inshallah, after the 2 rakat sunnah, then everyone is requested to proceed downstairs for dinner and try to wrap it up, inshallah, before 9:30, so we can clean up the hall for the ladies' tarawih, inshallah. The women's bathrooms will also be available up to 9:30 p.m., inshallah. Jazakallah.